Sergey Lupin is an advisor for Oleksandr Usyk, and he said the following. As for a potential fight with Fury, Fury has an advantage in size, and he is mobile and fast for a boxer with his size. But there is one thing. The biggest problem with these huge heavyweights is their condition in 12-round confrontations. The pace of the fight that Oleksandr sets, the huge heavyweights of today will not be able to stand. Technically, it will be very interesting. Tyson Fury has a very uncomfortable boxing technique, but in order for Fury to deliver his series of blows, he will need to spend a lot of effort, and this will be his undoing. Ultimately, the weight and height advantage in this fight does not matter for Oleksandr Usyk. He adapts to any opponent. Observers of world boxing will soon see how Oleksandr Usyk will restore order in the heavyweight division. There you go. Interesting. Now, the conditioning of the bigger men compared to Usyk is something I haven't really spoken about at any length before. I've more spoken about the speed difference, the coordination difference, the foot speed, the balance and hand-eye coordination, all these kind of things, and the overall skill that Oleksandr Usyk has. And I've said how when he gets in the ring with one of these big guys, as we saw against Anthony Joshua, these things jump out at you. How much better coordinated he is than Joshua, how much faster his feet are, how much better his, as I say, hand-eye coordination is, range control and all this kind of thing. But the conditioning is actually a very good point, because if you look at Tyson Fury when he fought Deontay Wilder the last time, although it was a comprehensive victory in the end by Tyson Fury, he did get dropped along the way, but he won most of the rounds and he beat the brakes off Deontay Wilder, really. But did he look crisp in doing so? Or was it a bit sloppy? He was leaning all over Deontay Wilder. Were all his punches nice and fast and snappy, like Oleksandr Usyk's punches tend to be, even late in a fight like we saw against Anthony Joshua? Or were they a bit labored? Were they a bit deliberate? Personally, I would say the latter. And that is to be expected for a guy who weighs close to 280 pounds, as good as Tyson Fury is. When you're that size, you're not going to have the same level of, as I say, foot speed, and you're not going to be able to keep your shape. That's the thing I'm looking for. Heavyweights generally don't keep their shape as well through the course of a long, tough fight as smaller fighters. If you see a lot of the world-class welterweights in the 12th round of a bout, and then compare them to world-class heavyweights in the 12th round of a bout, the welterweights generally keep their shape a lot better. Okay, so it's difficult for big guys to keep their shape. And this is where Oleksandr, again, because of the fatigue, big guys get fatigued more so than smaller guys. They can't throw as many punches. And this is where there is an advantage for Oleksandr Usyk, because as the big guys do get fatigued in the later rounds, and they start to become even more hittable, Usyk can start to go to work, as we saw again against Anthony Joshua. So it's a good point by Sergey Lupin. Will it be enough to have this extra fitness as well as all the skill and hand-eye coordination and speed and all the other stuff that comes with not just being a smaller fighter, but being a smaller, tremendously skilled fighter? Will that be enough to beat the likes of Fury? I don't know, but I'd love to find out. So somehow, some way, I'm praying to the boxing gods to give us this undisputed fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury sooner rather than later. And even if it isn't an undisputed fight, let's say Tyson Fury vacates his WBC belt and decides to fight Usyk next. You know, if Anthony Joshua takes a step-aside deal or whatever, or let's say the rematch happens between Anthony Joshua and Usyk wins again. Even if Tyson Fury hasn't got a belt at that stage, I'd still love to see him square off against Usyk, because I just think it's a fascinating style matchup. And Tyson Fury hasn't fought anybody of that type of size and speed since Steve Cunningham. And Steve Cunningham is not as good as Oleksandr Usyk. He's a different kind of fighter. He throws different kind of punches, so it wouldn't necessarily be more difficult against Usyk, but I suspect it would. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the possibility of Tyson Fury fighting Usyk and whether the fitness of the smaller man would play a big part in terms of the outcome of the fight. Would the extra fitness be the main thing that causes Oleksandr Usyk to win if he does win, in addition to all his skill? Will that be the deciding factor? That's what I'm trying to say. Let me know in the comments below.